I don't think I like Batman. Can Detective Comics by Tom Taylor change my mind? Join us this week as we take a closer look at Detective Comics Volume 1, Mercy of the Father. Will I find the dark detective noir-esque story I've been hunting for? Who knows? But I do know that this week's beer is keeping things old-fashioned, traditional, and is actually blessed by holy men. That isn't a bit. It's legitimately blessed by monks. It's a holy beer. It's holy blessed beer. That's a real thing. Welcome to Craft Beer Comics. Welcome back, Dark Knights and Draft Beer Detectives, to another episode of Craft Beer Comics. I'm your host, Harry, and this week we are taking a look at Batman in Detective Comics, Volume 1, Mercy of the Father, by Tom Taylor with art from Mikkel Janin. Probably said that wrong, but no one's here to correct me. Now, I'm going to preface this episode. I, stereotypically, do not like Batman in comics. This is a controversial opinion. Batman the Animated Series from the 90s, I love. I loved that as a kid. And Caped Crusader, which is on Amazon Prime at the moment. I recently finished Season 1 and absolutely loved that. My favourite Batman film is The Batman with Robert Pattinson, because it's less about Bruce Wayne and the money and the facade and look at all my gadgets. And it's more like a detective thing about some fella. And I like that. And I recently went back and I've started replaying the Arkham games, because I remember them from when I was a kid, but I don't think I ever actually finished them. So the Steam Summer Sale was on, and I've got a PC, so I decided to buy Arkham Origins, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, and Gotham Knights, and some Batman Telltale games. And I realised I might actually like Batman, but only under certain conditions. And the conditions are that he's a detective first, and a playboy billionaire philanthropist second. Famously, amongst people who know me, again, I don't like the Christopher Nolan Batman films. I think they're good superhero action films, but I don't think they're very good Batman films. So I wanted a comic. I really wanted to try and find a Batman comic that I liked, that lent into the detective stuff. So buying Detective Comics kind of felt like the natural next step. So I jumped in with the most recent run of Detective Comics, which is by Tom Taylor, and it's literally just called Batman in Detective Comics. Straight off the bat, Batman. The cover for this one, gotta be totally honest, I don't like it. It's somehow busy and not busy at the same time. And I'll go into more about the art the more we go into this. Yeah, so let's just dive into the story, I think. I'll read the blurb first. A bloody mystery unfolds. Long ago, the murders of Thomas and Martha Wayne changed Gotham forever. This is me talking now. What a fucking surprise. Bringing it back to Thomas and Martha. Who would have guessed? But there is something you never knew about Batman's tragic origin. Something that's been lying in wait to strike at the Dark Knight ever since that fateful night in Crime Alley. All these years later, this ghost of Gotham's past begins to reveal itself. Now, a mysterious new serial killer starts stalking the streets of Gotham, hunting down young criminal offenders and draining their blood. As Batman rushes to put a stop to these strange and savage murders, he soon finds that the killer may be closer to him than he thought. What is the connection between Bruce's past, this mysterious murderer, and a strange new youth serum only known as Shangri-La? Find out in the critically acclaimed story Mercy of the Father by dynamic duo of comic superstars Tom Taylor and Mikkel Janin. Okay, so that actually pretty much kind of tells you everything you need to know about this story. There's a mystery serum that Bruce Wayne gets offered by someone he knows, and he isn't too sure what it means, but it starts like de-aging him, kind of. It's a weird story, this one, because you might have guessed, I find the whole going back to Thomas and Martha Wayne all the time, I find it tiring. It's one of the reasons that, like, sometimes Batman doesn't appeal to me, is obviously Tom Taylor builds upon the Thomas and Martha Wayne stuff in this. It's just kind of a stepping stone. But I find that a lot of Batman stories, when they don't have anywhere to go with it, are, I know, bat trauma. That'll do. Let's just go back to Thomas and Martha Wayne again. it's fine, and I get that it's a massive part of his story, obviously. It's why he becomes Batman, really. But, maybe we could try something new or different. You've got a new and different villain. Why couldn't we have a new and different origin? I don't know. It wasn't a great start to it for me. Yeah, this comic's, it's alright. It's got an interesting premise at the start where Batman's stopping a small-time mugging robbery type thing. There's a kid and he's trying to rob a shop. He accidentally shoots the owner. The owner's okay. Batman bitch slaps the boy. The boy runs off. Batman chases the boy down and then finds that the boy's dead and his blood has been drained. Interesting. It then basically turns out that other young juveniles are being killed off. Interesting premise. Batman and Robin try to save one of the young juveniles, but there's this villain, this assassin that keeps tracking them down and draining their blood. Meanwhile, there's a shady organisation called Elixir, spelled LXR. Funny that, isn't it? And this is all about youth serum. Wow. Elixir of life and all that. That's original, isn't it? Anyway, it all comes back to the serum that Bruce's mate is giving Bruce to make him young in that. And, spoiler alert, long story short, the serum is being made from the blood of young juveniles, and it's using the platelets, and then it's mixed up into a serum to keep old people young or to make them younger, something like that. Anyway, it all comes back to Martha and Thomas Wayne, because it turns out that the assassin is actually a de-aged version of a woman that Martha and Thomas looked after and saved when obviously they were still alive. And that woman's daughter is called Scarlet fucking something. Scarlet Martha. We'll call her Scarlet Martha. I can't remember what her last name is. Scarlet Martha is Bruce's mate who owns his pharmaceutical company that's making people young. Her mum is an assassin that's bringing young juveniles down and taking their blood for the serum. And yeah, her mum's the one that was saved by Martha and Thomas. Anyway, it then turns out that Scarlet Martha's dad is Joe Chill, the man who gunned down Batman's parents. Odd, unusual. And then it turns out that the assassin, who's Scarlet Martha's mum, and obviously shagged Joe Chill to get Scarlet Martha, she's killing young juveniles because she doesn't want them to grow up to be like Joe Chill and kill people. So it's an interesting motive, I guess. But I don't know, it's just not, perfectly honest, I don't think it's what I personally was expecting or wanting. I think it started off badly with the link to Martha and Thomas Wayne, and I always find that kind of a weak or lazy standpoint with Batman. I think it's like low-hanging fruit. It's always there, it will always be there. It's a massive part of the origin, I get that, and it's a nice thing to go back to, and it loops in and adds a bit of personal trauma-y emotional involvement. I totally get that, I really do. And I expect for some people it really, really works. And could I do any better? Probably not. However, for me personally, I don't know, I'm just tired of it. And I don't think this is necessarily what I wanted or what I was after. It's a good storyline, and the whole thing with the platelets and the young people, I don't know if it was intentional, but there's this conspiracy theory that the rich and famous are secretly having this serum injected in them to keep them young, and it's using platelets and blood from young people. That's a conspiracy theory. That's a real-life conspiracy theory. And I don't know if Tom Taylor knows that and adapted it into this story, because that's very much what this story is about. And I thought that was kind of cool. I really liked that. It was a dark little twist, and I liked it. Very cool. But overall, the story's just kind of... I'm kind of finding that the story's a little bit mediocre. And I didn't particularly like the villain. I didn't find the villain interesting at all. They're just sort of generic run-of-the-mill assassin. Yeah, the target's different, and the reasoning goes back to Batman's childhood and origin. But, it's not... a villain that goes back to Batman's origin and is just kind of a basic assassin. You've kind of got Hush for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think Hush is more interesting because he can change his face and adapt and everything. That's kind of more interesting than just scary woman with long claws taking blood. You know? It's... I don't know. The story's just not really there for me. I'm kind of tempted to pick up Volume 2 just to see if it gets any better. Because obviously this is only the first, 5-6 issues, I think, from Tom Taylor's run on Detective Comics. So he might just be trying to find his footing. And that's a common thing. That happens a lot. You find this with a lot of comics. The first couple of issues, the first volume is not always great because they're still trying to figure out where they want to go, how they want to write it, what people like, I think is the other thing. So maybe I will pick up Volume 2, and if I don't like Volume 2, I'll ditch it. Truth be told, yes, I did. I wanted a detective-y comic, to be honest, because I like that side of Batman. I also know that Green Arrow's coming to this soon. He obviously got his solo comic run cancelled, which is really a shame because I like Green Arrow. I think he's kind of cool, but it obviously didn't sell well. And now he's in Detective Comics. I think he's going to be showing up in Volume 3 or 4, and then he's a mainstay. And I think that might be really cool. So maybe I'll stick around till then, and if I still don't like it, I'll call it a day for me on that one. I have ordered, funnily enough, Batman The Long Halloween, which is a very famous Batman storyline. I think it's the origin of Harvey Dent's Two-Face. So I'm really hoping that's good. And I'll probably review that as well. We'll see. We'll see. I tend to find that nowadays Batman's become this. He's more superhero than detective. I think Batman really shines at the fact that he's just a guy. He's got no superpowers. Yes, he's the world's greatest detective. Yes, he's a martial arts specialist. Yes, he's got loads of money for gadgets and cars. But I think the world's greatest detective is the biggest selling point for me. A lot of Batman things nowadays kind of forget that. And I think that's why I don't personally gel with it. So I think that's all I've got to say on the story. The art, it's kind of like a love-hate thing. I think Mikel is very, very talented artist. And I think he's done some stuff for The Flash in the past. I want to say it's The Flash. Because I swear I've seen some of his art with speedsters. And I think his art in a speedster setting, with all the lightning and all the characters moving super fast or in slow motion, looks cool, or would look cool. For this, it feels safe. I feel like this comic could have gone with a darker artist. And I think I know who could have done it, to be honest. And I'll go into that more in a minute. But like I was saying when I did my Justice League review, the big names like Batman, Superman, Green Lantern to an extent, Justice League, because they're big names and they're big comics and they're going to sell and they want to appeal to mass audiences, they go with safe artists. Nothing too exciting or stylized. And I find that this has almost got like it's very digitally 3D-ish effect to it. Everything's very angular as well. That's what I've noticed. Everyone's got a very angular face or body. Not to the extent of like John Romita Jr., but the art's okay. Obviously, I couldn't draw any better, but here I am critiquing it anyway. It's okay. It's safe. If you're new to comics, then that would probably do it for you. But I like my art to be quite stylized, quite individual. I like to read a comic book and go, ooh, this artist is fancy. He does cool stuff. I like what he does. But going on to the artist, I think could have done this. As I said, the covers done by Mikel are obviously matching the rest of the comic book. However, there's the variant covers at the back. And there's a series of variant covers that have been done by someone called Ashley Wood. Let me skip to them. Yeah, here they are. So you've got 4 or 5 variant covers by Ashley Wood, and they're very sketchy, they're very dark. There's a lot of like blacks and browns and dark colours. And it looks fucking cool. It looks just absolutely sick. Like, that's the sort of art I would want from a detective comic, to be honest, with Batman. It reminds me of the cover to the Detective Comic Omnibus by Ram V. It's very cool. The other artist is Bruno Redondo. He's got some variant covers here that are really cool. And they're a bit more stylized as well. It's kind of like pop arty. There's a lot of the little circles, which is, typical of pop art. And that looks really cool. And it sticks with the, like, it's almost like dark solid colours mixed with pastel backdrops, which creates this really cool like light and dark contrast effect. And I think, to be honest, either of those two artists could have brought a bit more excitement or individuality to this comic book, which could have, bolstered up the flat writing, to be honest. But also I understand that some artists only do covers, some artists don't do full issues. I do get that, but I think either of those artists maybe could have made Detective Comics by Tom Taylor a bit more exciting. I'm going to give this volume... I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. It's not anything special by any stretch of the imagination, to be honest. The story's okay. It's fine. I think if this was part of the animated show, it'd be one episode, and that would be it. We'd call it a day there. There's nothing exciting. I don't want to see this villain back. The Scarlet Martha character I couldn't care less about. I find her annoying. The link back to Martha and Thomas I think is low-hanging fruit. It's not bad. It was like an enjoyable read, and I don't regret that I spent half an hour reading it. But it's just nothing special to it, which is a shame, because Tom Taylor's done some great stuff in the past. I'm hoping that he's just finding his footing, but we'll see. I'll get volume 2 and go from there, I think. And the art's basic, it's safe, there's nothing too interesting going on. I think it's got the potential with other superheroes with a bit more colour and flair, like Flash or Green Lantern. But for Detective Comics, like dark and gritty, you kind of need an artist to match that. And good old Michael Jannon's he's not bringing it, unfortunately. So that's a 5 out of 10 on that one from me. We do have a beer, though, that's a bit more exciting, to be honest. The beer I've chosen this week is from a Mount St Bernard Trappist brewery in the UK. I think it's in Leicestershire. This beer is called Tint Meadow, and it's the Tint Meadow English Trappist Ale. Now, this is a traditional, dark Trappist ale. It's full-bodied, with tastes of dark chocolate, licorice, and fig, with a little bit of pepper as well. It's a delightful, easy beer. And I'll get into the blessing bit in a minute. But this is, it's just a basic ale, but it's absolutely delicious. However, it is 7.4%, which for like an ale is very high. The flavours of dark chocolate and licorice and that, they come through really, really subtly. But I'd say it's the dried fruit flavours you get through more. And let me read you a little bit about Mount St Bernard and Tint Meadow. Here is their description on their shop website. In a market flooded with craft and mass-produced beers, Tint Meadow stands out due to its exceptional quality and unique heritage. It's blessed by actual monks at St Bernard Trappist Brewery. These Christian monks make the beer, they bottle the beer, they bless the beer. It's totally not for profit. Everything goes back into the beer, back into the monastery, everything else. Oh, since I say monastery, back into the abbey, which is amazing. And the beer is really good quality. Them producing the beers apparently goes back to around about 1835, where there's records that show that Mount St Bernard, where Tint Meadow is made, was producing what's called table beer, which is quite interesting. I never knew that. I was made aware of this by friend of the show and friend of What of It, Cam from over at Beer Guide Worldwide, and he recommended it to us and was like, oh listen, there's this place, the beers are great, it's only a little way from where you're based, pop down. I didn't pop down, but friend of the show Kian, he popped down, and he brought me back a couple, and they are absolutely delicious. I don't think they do many beers. I think they do this beer, they do a blonde ale, and I think they do one more, but they're delicious. They're very, very, very traditional, and all of the ales have to meet specific criteria, which is it must be produced within the abbey's immediate surroundings. The monks or nuns must supervise its production at all times, and profits must support the monastic community's needs, solidarity within the Trappist order, or development projects and charitable work, which is amazing. It's overseen by the International Trappist Association, which controls the quality, accreditation, and just basically everything else that goes into it. And that monitors and supports around about 12 to 20 Trappist monasteries worldwide that are all producing beer. So this is kind of like an educational thing that, number one, monks making beer, who would have guessed? Number two, they're blessing the beer. And number three, there's so many monasteries doing it that there's an international Trappist association. That's crazy. I'd be really keen to try other beers from other monasteries and abbeys, to be honest, because this one's really, really, really tasty. Obviously, with such a high alcohol percentage, probably can't be downing these, to be honest. If you have 2 or 3, you're probably going to be fairly smashed. If you're not, you might have a little bit of a problem. But they're very tasty. If you just want like a little treat of an afternoon, this is the beer for you. This beer is getting an 8 out of 10 because it's very basic. You know what you're getting, but it's very rich. It's very alcoholic. It's very tasty, and it's blessed by monks. It is a nice little selling point. And the best bit is, it's for a not-for-profit. It's going back into the monastery. It's going back into charity. It's going back into making good beer. None of this Foster's shit. That is the Tint Meadow English Trappist Ale coming in at 7.4%. Lots of different notes. Very alcoholic, very tasty. 8 out of 10. So that's been another episode of Craft Beer Comics. Today we've covered the slightly disappointing Detective Comics by Tom Taylor. Bit of a flat story, not too many original ideas, a forgettable villain, forgettable side characters, going back to the low-hanging fruit of Martha and Thomas Wayne. Art, very basic, nothing much exciting. Will it get better in Volume 2? I don't know, but I hope so. Following that up with a rather delightful 8 out of 10 beer that has been blessed by monks that put all the funds either back into the Abbey or into non-for-profit projects or back into charities in the local area. What a fantastic cause and what a fantastic beer. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of Craft Beer Comics. I'm sorry this one's been a little bit of a moan, to be honest, this time. I feel like I might step on some toes this week, and there's a lot of Batman fans who really like Tom Taylor, but it's just not for me. If you've enjoyed it, I'm really glad you did, but for me personally, I think more could have been done, and I hope more is done going forwards. Remember to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment down below if there's a Batman story you really enjoy and think I should check out. Let me know and I will take a look for myself. I've been your host Harry. We'll see you next time on Craft Beer Comics. Is it really that hard to just make a good Batman story? God damn it.